All right, joining me once again here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is my good friend, Katie Klabusich. Katie is a contributing writer for The Establishment, as well as the host of the Katie Speak Show, all of which and more you can find at katiespeak.com. You can also follow her on Twitter at Katie_speak. Katie, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thanks for having me back. It's been far too long since we chatted.
It has been, but we have some exciting stuff to talk about this month. So recently you wrote a really insightful piece for TruthOut that was entitled Beyond Awareness, Mental Illness, and the Ableism of Capitalism. That's a lot to, even in the title there's a lot to unpack there. So let's tell us, what exactly prompted you to write this piece?
Well, I don't do a lot of thinking of my editors and outlets, but I have to really thank TruthOut a lot that they were really excited to let me just give it to capitalism from an angle they hadn't really covered. And part of what made this article so great, and it might be the piece that I enjoyed writing the most, interviewing and writing for. The people that I spoke with are amazing. People should, even if they can't or don't want to read the whole thing, like scan it for the names and go follow those people and their work. Places like Twitter, and most of them write and own outlets that do either advocacy or some sort of writing. And everyone was just really amazing. You know, there's a large category of us who are, whatever word we choose to self-identify with, disabled or mentally ill or chronically ill or something neuroatypical, things that make our interaction with the world different than, the quote-unquote standard, person. And capitalism has a lot of problems, many of which you talk about on the show, and there's almost no one listening right now who's like, oh, but yay, capitalism. So we all know that it has problems, and almost all of those problems are exacerbated when you deal with some sort of chronic illness. May was Mental Health Awareness Month, so I did a ton of writing on mental health just for that month. And there's not enough awareness because for most of us, it's risky to tell our boss or even a client. I'm a freelancer now. I do contract work and writing. So I don't technically have a boss. I'm my own boss. If anything, the roles are reversed, right? My clients, like in that relationship, I'm more the boss. But there hasn't been an elimination of ableism. And, it's not just things like, you can't get hired for office work because you have to be able to lift a certain amount, which is ridiculous, right? Things that the Americans with Disabilities Act says we're supposed to be given accommodations for, that's the word that they use, but a lot of those things have to do with mental illness specifically are both hard to bring up because you end up being treated differently at your job. You can get passed over or watched differently, or they look at you like you might, lose it. They're afraid you're going to need more time off. Gasp! You might need time off for something unexpected, like a couple days in the hospital here or there, depending on your type of illness. Or I might have to try new meds, which means I'm going to be unavailable, until 10 a.m. because I'm testing out new meds that have temporary side effects. Those are all things that I can't do and have a regular job. And I've thought a lot more about it over the last 6 to 8 months because I've spent that time with a new psychiatrist and my really amazing therapist, trying to get to a place where I'm on a complete functional medication protocol, which takes a lot of time. My current diagnoses are extreme. You can think of that as an allergy to boredom in a way that literally makes you feel like you're coming apart at the seams, which is why most adults with ADHD who were not diagnosed as kids go to their doctor with a complaint of anxiety, because 100% of us feel anxious. It turns out forcing yourself to do something your brain is not wired for makes you feel nervous. And so I also have a standalone anxiety disorder and dysthymia, which is like a low-grade persistent depression that sort of flares up whenever it wants to, like any other chronic condition, and also PTSD. And so those those things make for a rather frustrating to treat combination, because things like ADHD are typically treated with uppers, and anxiety is treated with a downer, and sleep meds are downers, but I can't take that with some of the anxiety meds, right? So it's a very long process. And all I've been able to think about, even though I have almost nothing, I live in the place I live right now for free because someone saved me from the 80-hour-a-week unpaid live-in nanny situation I was in a year ago. And so she literally saved my life. So I don't even own like trash cans anymore. I don't own anything. But what I've thought about over the last 6 months is I've tested out new medications, and like currently the anxiety medication that I'm on that we're going to eventually change after we try some other things. I have like a 45-minute stretch every morning. It's like feeling like the bad kind of drunk, where you're a little bit dizzy and the room's almost moving, like the slow spins. And because I work from home, like that's an inconvenient time of the day because I'm on the West Coast and that's like the rockin' business part of the day on the East Coast. It's inconvenient, but I can lay down if I have to because I'm at home. And so I've thought a lot about how people who have jobs, any kind of job where you have to go to a place, how it is those people are supposed to ever get well. And the answer is they're not. They don't. Capitalism prevents those people, most of us, from really ever treating or finding any kind of relief from a lot of chronic illness.